Hello everyone, it's Rio Cloud Sync. Today we're going to be simulating Azure AD Connect. What's the purpose? We want to sync our on-premise identities to the cloud from AD domain services to Microsoft Azure Active Directory. In principle of spinning this up in a cloud environment, we're going to create an Azure virtual network as well as 2 servers, and we're going to be installing 2 applications, one of which is going to be AD domain services, the other is going to be Azure AD Connect. And for one server, we're going to be promoting to a domain controller for administration purposes. Okay. Prerequisites wise, I'm hoping you have a virtual network created. This just needs to be an out-of-box virtual network from the Azure Management Portal. You could just type in virtual network or VNet and create a VNet. It just needs to have the default subnet associated with the virtual network, and it just needs to reside in the same location and resource group as the setup is. First things first, once you've created that virtual network, we want to create a virtual machine. Okay, just type in virtual machine either from the Azure Marketplace or search virtual machines at the top and select create. I need it residing in UK South as well as the same resource group as your virtual network. Okay, we need to associate a public IP address, okay, IPv4, so we can RDP into the machine via the use of 3389, or we can associate Azure Bastion, up to you. Size, just keep it as a standard D2, V3 series, plenty just to RDP on the machine and install the services we need, okay? And with that, just make sure it's in a running state. You can also select boot diagnostics to check if the machine is in a running state and if it's ready to connect to. Once we RDP into the machine, so this is the Server 2019 machine we're creating to install AD domain services as well as promote as a domain controller in the setup. Okay, Server Manager will open. Okay, Server Manager is where we can add roles and features. We can also select the local server and make it domain joins and exclude it from a work group. For example, we will be doing that. But first things first, just make sure Server Manager opens. If not, just type in Server Manager in the Start menu on the machine. Click Add Roles and Features. With that, you'll have a policy tip in terms of, okay, what is roles and features and all the administration features we can or can take place on this machine. We want to select Next. Okay, there's a list of administration tasks we can install, a list of applications we can install, roles, features. The one we're going to install is AD domain services. All we're interested in is having that forest, having those OUs, and being able to sync our identities up to the cloud. But there are the likes of federation services here, which you can deploy alongside a proxy, rights management, lightweight directory services, etc. Once you've selected AD domain services, just skip the remaining. Like I said, it's going to be a high-level overview in terms of installing the AD Connect and syncing our identities, and just select Install. This may take a few minutes. Okay. However, while you're waiting for the installation to occur, we want to promote this domain to a domain controller. When you go back to your dashboard on Server Manager, you would have a little policy tip after you installed the AD domain services. Post deployment configuration, and we want to promote this server to a domain controller. We want this to be the management of our directory as well as our 2 VDIs we're deploying. So we want to press promote this server to domain. It's going to ask what forest we want to promote this domain to. Okay, we're going to keep this coinciding with our Azure Active Directory solution. So we're going to use our default directory domain name, which is the wccservicedesk.onmicrosoft.com. Okay. If you did have a custom domain name, that would be preferred and that is best practice. However, in this instance, I don't have a custom domain name. Therefore, I am going to use the default directory domain name I have. And you will see this later on in the deployment. It will give you a few more policy tips to make sure you know you're deploying this with a .microsoft domain name and not a custom domain name. Okay. Once we've selected OK, the installation will start to proceed. And then we can see after we've rebooted the server, AD Domain Services has installed and it has been promoted to a domain controller in instance. So while opening AD domain services, we need to select users, okay, as an organizational unit under our default forest, which we've just created. And we're going to create a user called service user A. Just populate the first name and copy that into the user login name, and keep the default SMTP address or proxy address associated with the user account. We want to double click on the user account. We want to go to put the permissions tab, and with that we're going to give it enterprise admins role as well as the domain admin role. Okay, the domain admin role, so we can domain join the two VDIs using this account. Enterprise admin, so we can run Azure AD Connect on behalf of the organization and forest. We want the machines to be able to talk to one another, so we're going to open up the DNS. So if we come out of RDP, we click on the virtual machine itself, and we scroll down to DNS servers. We're going to change it from default to custom, and we're going to use its private IP address in this instance. Any DNS changes you do make to the virtual machine, you will need to restart the machine. Okay, so just go back to the overview page of the virtual machine and select restart. Once the machine is restarted, it will now take upon the new DNS service you've associated with the machine itself. So now we've created the AD domain services machine. We've promoted it to a domain controller. We've installed Active Directory domain services on there. We've created the initial user account with the relevant roles. We can now create the AD Connect machine. Why are we creating a separate machine? Best practice is to create AD Connect, install AD Connect on a separate instance within the same domain. Redundancy reasons, disaster recovery, there's plenty of reasons. So we'll create a 2016 in this case. I was having problems with the 2019 data center. I think it was the image previously corrupted. So we created the 2016 data center one. Once again, out of the box configuration, D series, public IP address, UK South, and make sure it's associated with the same resource group as the other resources we've created. Okay, and I've just called this one Azure AD Connect VMs. We want an RDP on this machine as per the last one. Okay, we can see this is in a work group at the moment. The computer name's Azure AD Connect VM, and IE enhanced configuration is on at the moment. We want to select the domain where it says work group, and we want to connect it to the default forest we have, or the domain controller we have in place already. Okay, we want to type in the default directory name, which was the .Microsoft domain name, and it will ask for credentials to join. We're going to use that user account we created earlier. It's called service user A. Okay, and we're going to use the password we created earlier. As this user account has the permission set of domain admins, it'll be able to join the domain for the two VMs, and you'll see a prompt which says successful. Okay. We want to turn off IE enhanced configuration because we want to be able to access the internet and install the Azure AD Connect module. Previously, when I've had it enabled and tried to install modules off Internet Explorer or any type of browser on the machine, we may get a policy tip which could affect the installation of the module. So just turn this off for best practice, then turn it back on as when you've installed Azure AD Connect. We want to go to Internet Explorer. We're going to type in Azure AD Connect, and we're going to install. Please make sure you meet the prerequisites for the installation. 2012 R2 was the prerequisites for Azure AD Connect for installation previously, but I think with the new Azure AD Connect 2.0, I think it needs to be 2016 and above. Once you've opened up Azure AD Connect for the first time on the machine, you can agree to some T's and C's. And then we're going to go through Express settings in terms of synchronizing the forests from on-prem to cloud. By default, Express settings use password hash synchronization from on-prem to AD. Okay, and with that, we can utilize the likes of identity protection within Azure Active Directory for leak credentials. Okay, if you want to go down the custom route, you can utilize the likes of pass-through authentication as well as federation services. Okay, and you can customize your syncing attributes. In this instance, we're going to go down the express route settings, express settings, sorry, not express route settings, express settings, and we're going to need to type in the Azure AD Global Admin administrator details, which is just admin at in this case, and the password. This account needs to have global admin associated with it in Azure Active Directory. We're then going to use the service user A account, which we created earlier, which has the enterprise admin permission set associated, and we're going to type in the password. Please make sure you put your Forest default directory domain name before the username and just a backslash. Earlier I said with the default directory domain name, I may get another policy tip to say, are you sure you want to sync this local domain up to the cloud? It's not your custom domain name. Here we go. It's now asking me to validate and verify. It's basically giving me an indication that my UPN suffixes may not match. However, in this instance, we're going to proceed as this is just a demo simulation. We're going to start the synchronization process. This can take 10-15 minutes to initially complete. Then after that, there will be a sync initiated every 30 to 35 minutes on the server. This can be customized through the MSL commands through PowerShell ISE. We've now validated that we've now accessed Azure Active Directory after the initial sync. We can also run a Delta sync to push it through, or open up Synchronization Manager and select the connector and sync. However, we can now see the users are now synchronized from on-prem to cloud. As you can see, there's a column there which says on-premise sync, yes. And we've had 2 users synced up. I created B outside of this presentation, and the on-prem sync service account has been created. Thank you very much.